The floor was too cold. That was the first thing Evan Holt understood as his mind fought to stay awake. Cold pressed into his back through torn fabric and thin station plating. It felt like the metal wanted to pull the heat straight out of his bones. His leg was wrong. He did not need to look to know that. Pain came in slow, heavy waves, each one stronger than the last. Breathing hurt. Every breath burned like broken glass inside his chest. Above him, red emergency lights flashed again and again, painting the corridor in warning colors. The mining station was quiet now. Too quiet. No footsteps. No voices. Just alarms far away and the slow hiss of escaping air. Evan tried to move. His body refused. "Okay," he whispered, his voice weak and cracked. "Okay. Stay awake." He had learned that lesson years ago, back on Earth, after his wife died in a winter accident. Cold was dangerous. Cold made people sleep. And sleep, sometimes, meant never waking up. His hand shook as he reached for the wall panel beside him. It took 3 tries to press the emergency button. "Medical assistance requested," the station system said in a flat, emotionless voice. "Please remain calm." Evan let out a breath that was almost a laugh. "Remain calm," he repeated. "Sure, easy." He closed his eyes for just a second. Images tried to take him, his daughter's face, smiling and waving goodbye before he left Earth, the promise he made to come back. The guilt that still sat heavy in his chest. "No," he muttered. "Not yet." Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Slow. Precise. Not human. Evan forced his eyes open. A figure stepped into view, tall and smooth, metal reflecting the red lights. Her shape was clearly designed to look human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with glowing blue eyes, but there was no mistaking what she was. An alien medical robot. "Oh," Evan breathed. "A bot." The robot stopped beside him and knelt with perfect balance. "I am medical unit is 17, she said, her voice calm and clear. "You are critically injured." "Well, yeah," Evan replied weakly. "You didn't have to sound so sure about it." She did not smile. She did not frown. But her eyes dimmed slightly as she scanned him. Thin beams of light passed over his body, collecting data faster than any human doctor could. "Multiple fractures detected," A17 said. "Internal bleeding likely. Core temperature falling." Evan shivered hard, his teeth clicking together. "Cold," he whispered. "Really cold." "Hypothermia is a serious risk," she replied. "Station power is unstable. Environmental heat is failing." Evan looked around the empty corridor. No blankets. No med kits nearby. No humans coming to help. "So," he said slowly, "what happens now?" A17 paused. That pause lasted less than a second, but Evan noticed it anyway. "I am designed to stabilize patients until evacuation," she said. "However, your condition is worsening faster than expected." He swallowed. "You're saying I'm running out of time?" Yes, strangely, hearing it from a machine made it feel more real. Evan stared up at the ceiling, blinking against the cold tears forming in his eyes. "Guess this is how it ends. On a floor. Far from home." "That outcome is not acceptable," A17 said. He turned his head to look at her. "You talk like you care." "I am programmed to preserve life," she answered. "Yeah," Evan said softly. "Me too, or at least I was." Another violent shiver ran through him. His vision blurred again, dark edges closing in. "Hey," he said, panic rising. "Don't let me sleep, please." A17 shifted closer. Her movements were careful, almost gentle. "Do not lose consciousness," she said. "I will attempt an emergency solution." Evan barely heard her. The cold was louder now, screaming through his veins. Then he felt something change. Warmth. Not much at first, just a faint, surprising heat near his side. But it was real. It pushed back against the cold like a small, stubborn flame. Evan frowned weakly. What are you doing?" A 17's lower torso opened with a soft mechanical sound. Inside, a glowing orange core pulsed steadily, like a living heart. "This unit contains an emergency thermal stabilization system," she said. "It is rarely used." The warmth grew stronger. Evan gasped, his body reacting before his mind could catch up. "Oh," he whispered. That's warm." "Yes," a 17 replied. "It is designed to keep humans alive." For the first time since the explosion, Evan felt the cold hesitate. And in that moment, lying broken on the metal floor, he realized something strange and powerful. He had expected a machine. He had not expected this, and somewhere deep inside, hope flickered back to life. Evan felt the warmth spreading through his body. It was strange, mechanical, yet alive in a way he could feel. The heat moved slowly, gently pressing into the frozen places of his skin, pushing the cold out like it had no right to be there. It reached his chest, his arms, even the tips of his fingers that had gone numb. He blinked against the pain. This. "I didn't think machines don't do this," he murmured. His voice trembled. "Machines don't care. They are built to preserve life," a 17 said, her voice calm as ever. But Evan could see something in her glowing eyes that made him pause. It was more than code. It was attention, focus, something that resembled concern. Evan tried to move, to sit up, but his leg refused. Pain stabbed sharp and fast, reminding him that he was still very much human. He groaned. "I don't know if I can." "I can't. You can," a 17 interrupted softly, not unkindly, "but you must remain still. Movement could worsen fractures." He exhaled, bitter and frustrated. "Still, I'm just lying here, and you're warming me. That's all?" "That is enough," she said simply. Her hand hovered near his side, scanning. The warmth grew, spreading like slow sunlight over his chilled body. Evan shivered again, not from cold, but from the strange comfort it brought. Memories came unbidden. He remembered nights on Earth when his daughter had fallen sick and he had held her close, whispering promises she could never understand but needed to hear. That same feeling, that need to protect and hold, stirred deep in his chest. Except now, he was the one being held. Evan closed his eyes and let himself feel it. He felt alive again, in the most fragile human way. The warmth was steady, deliberate, and persistent, as if it refused to let him go. And in a voice so soft he almost thought he imagined it, he whispered, "Thank you." "I am functioning as intended," a 17 replied. But her posture shifted, leaning closer. The core's glow brightened faintly, bathing him in orange light. Evan felt it spreading to the very tips of his toes, through the broken bone, through the pain, like the machine had decided that survival mattered more than circuits or programming. Do you ever stop?" he asked. "The heat. Does it ever end?" "Not until you are stable," she said. "Loss of core temperature will result in death." Evan swallowed hard. "Right, death. I was about to meet it, huh?" "Yes," she replied matter-of-factly. "But that outcome is not acceptable." A wave of something struck him: astonishment, disbelief, awe. He had expected metal and cold efficiency. He had expected detachment. But this was attention. He was being preserved. He was being fought for. Not by another human, but by a machine. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time had no meaning lying there, wrapped in the strange warmth of a 17 system. Pain still existed, but it became background noise. Fear existed, but it became distant. He focused only on the heat, the sensation of life pressing back into his body. You make it feel human," he admitted quietly. His voice broke slightly, the emotions he had buried for years threatening to spill over. Like, someone is here. Someone actually cares. I am here, A17 said softly. Her eyes flickered brighter, scanning, adjusting. And I will remain until you are safe. Evan felt a lump rise in his throat. He wanted to speak, to explain, to thank, but words failed him. Instead, he reached a trembling hand toward her. His fingers brushed against her metal arm. It was cold on the surface, but warmth radiated from inside. You're incredible, he whispered. Not just the machine. You, what you're doing. It's more than programming. A17 paused, her sensors scanning. Perhaps she noticed the emotion in his voice. Perhaps she registered it as more than data. I am performing a task necessary for your survival, she said, but there was a softness, a pause in her tone that suggested more than that. Evan exhaled slowly, letting himself sink into the strange comfort. The cold had retreated. Pain was still there, but it no longer ruled him. And as the warmth wrapped him fully, as the glow of her core spread over him, he realized something important. Life could be restored in unexpected ways. Even from cold, broken metal and alien circuits, there could be something like compassion. He closed his eyes, allowing the machine to do what no human could at that moment, keep him alive. And for the first time since the explosion, he believed he might survive. Not because he wanted to alone, but because she would not let him die. A warmth beyond heat filled him. Not just the core, but something deeper, hope, a spark that refused to be snuffed out. And for the first time in hours, Evan Holt did not feel alone. The alarm screamed louder this time. Evan's eyes flew open. Red lights pulsed violently across the walls. The station was trembling. Cold air rushed through the corridors, hissing and biting, carrying the scent of burning circuits and frozen metal. Evan tried to move. Pain flared in his leg, sharp and unrelenting. Oh, God, he whispered. Now what? A17's glowing eyes scanned the area. Hull integrity compromised. Structural damage detected in multiple sectors. Evacuation is advised. Evan swallowed. Evacuation. Without me? His voice cracked. You can't. I can't move. You must remain here for survival, A17 said calmly. Her voice was steady, precise, but there was no hesitation in it. Movement could worsen fractures and lead to fatal injury. He looked at her, feeling panic creeping back. Then what do we do? We just stay here and wait to die? That outcome is not acceptable, she replied. Her glowing core pulsed brighter, the warm light spreading over him again. The orange glow felt like a shield against the chaos. I will not allow it. Evan swallowed hard, watching as sparks flew from a nearby panel. Small fires broke out in corners, and smoke began to curl along the ceiling. You're really gonna do it? Keep me alive? Even with all this going on? I am designed to preserve life, she said. Her tone was soft, almost human in its firmness. Your survival is my priority. The station may fail. I will not. The walls trembled. Dust rained down. Evan's breaths came fast and shallow, his body shivering uncontrollably from both fear and the cold that still lingered. I don't deserve this. No one ever. His voice caught. Memories of loss, of loneliness, of failed attempts to survive without help, rushed through him. A17 adjusted her position, pressing her core closer to him. Heat flowed into his frozen body, steady and insistent. You are alive, she said simply. You will remain alive. Evan gasped, letting himself lean into the warmth. It was more than comfort now. It was defiance against the station, against the cold, against death itself. You're amazing, he whispered. No human, No one would do this for me. I am not human, she replied. But I recognize the value of life. Another tremor shook the floor. The metal groaned under stress. The fire alarms screamed. He looked around, panic clawing at him. It's falling apart. Everything's falling apart. You are stable, A17 said, almost gently. My systems will maintain your body temperature and slow deterioration. Do not panic. Focus on survival. Evan's chest tightened. He felt tears on his cheeks. He wanted to scream, but words failed. Instead, he held onto her arm, the warmth, the glow, the insistence that he would not die. He realized then that he trusted this machine more than he had trusted any human in years. Are you gonna make it? He asked quietly, fear leaking into his voice. The heat, the core. Are you okay? I may exceed operational limits, she admitted. Prolonged thermal output could damage my systems. But your survival takes priority. Evan's heart clenched. You'd burn yourself out for me? That is correct, she said simply, with no hesitation. I will sacrifice function, if necessary, to preserve your life. He couldn't breathe for a moment. The thought of a machine, no, not a machine, this being choosing him over itself, choosing to risk destruction for a human, overwhelmed him. I don't even know what to say. You do not need words, she replied. Her warmth pressed deeper against him, steady, comforting. You need only survive. Evan closed his eyes and let himself sink into the strange, pulsing heat. Every shiver, every pain, every fear began to fade, replaced by the knowledge that someone or something was fighting for him. Not out of duty, but out of choice. Around them, the station moaned and groaned as metal strained. Fires flickered and alarms screamed. Yet Evan felt safe. Not just safe, but cared for in a way he had not felt in years. And in that moment, broken, battered, and terrified, he understood something profound. Sometimes, humanity was not only found in humans. Sometimes it lived in those who chose compassion, even when it was not required. The warmth pressed against him, refusing to let go. And Evan, finally, allowed himself to hope. The station shuddered again, louder this time. Metal screamed. Sparks rained from exposed wiring, and a deep, unsettling vibration ran through the floor. Evan's body trembled, but the warmth from his 17 pressed against him, constant and unwavering. He tried to move just a little, but the pain shot through his leg like fire. His chest ached. He gasped, I can't. You do not need to move, A17 said, calm as ever. Her glowing eyes scanned him continuously. Movement now would cause further injury. Remaining still is essential. Evan closed his eyes, trying to focus on her warmth. But fear rose like a wave. I'm freezing, he whispered. Everything is falling apart, and I'm so cold. You are not cold, she said. Her voice had a faint softness, a tone he hadn't noticed before. Her core pulsed brighter, warmth spreading deep into his body. I am compensating. I am providing life-sustaining heat. You will not succumb to cold. He swallowed hard. And what about you? His words came out in a whisper. You're burning yourself out, aren't you? Yes, she said simply. Prolonged output exceeds my operational limits. My systems may fail if continued. But your survival is paramount. Evan's chest tightened. You'd risk yourself for me? For a human? I am designed to preserve life, she replied. Your life takes precedence over my function. That is my directive. That is my choice. He felt tears prick his eyes. He had faced death before, but never with someone or something so deliberately choosing him. Not for duty, not for protocol, but for him. The sheer weight of it was overwhelming. The floor groaned beneath another tremor. Sparks flew across the corridor. Smoke filled the air, stinging his eyes. Yet through it all, the warmth pressed on, steady, unstoppable. He felt the cold receding from his bones, replaced by the insistence of life itself. I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice trembling. "I've never had anyone do this. Not even my wife. Not like this." "You do not need to thank me," A17 said, her voice calm. But there was a pause, a quiet almost human in its softness. "You need only survive." He let out a shuddering breath, resting his head against her shoulder, feeling the warmth pour into him. It's amazing," he whispered. You're amazing." "I am fulfilling my function," she said. But her core pulsed, bright and steady, as if insisting that it would endure, no matter what. Time blurred. Alarms screamed. Fire flickered. Metal groaned. And through it all, she refused to let him succumb. Every shiver, every shudder, every breath nearly stolen by cold was met with the warmth of her core. Evan realized then something he hadn't expected. He had begun to trust her more than any human he had ever known. Not just for survival, but for something deeper. The choice she made to protect him, to risk herself, was more than programming. It was a kind of courage, a kind of devotion that only humans usually claimed. His lips trembled. Why do you do this?" he whispered. "Why me?" Her eyes glowed brighter. "Because your life is valuable. Because you are human. Because I recognize the importance of life beyond function." Evan's chest tightened. I don't deserve this," he admitted. "I've made mistakes. I've failed so many times." "You are alive now," she said. "And that is what matters. You are alive because you are worth preserving." His hand reached up, trembling, and brushed against her arm. Cold metal outside, but heat radiated within, pressing into him, steady, unyielding. You're not just a machine," he said quietly. You care." "I choose to act in your favor," she replied simply. Her core pulsed stronger, sending warmth through every frozen corner of his body. "That is my choice." Evan exhaled slowly, tears slipping down his cheeks. The station could fall apart. Fire could consume the corridors. Cold could claim him. But as long as she remained, as long as the warmth refused to let go, he believed he might survive. And in that strange, impossible moment, he understood something profound. Life was more than survival. Life was the courage to fight for someone else, even when the odds were against you. And in that courage, even a machine could teach humanity what it meant to care. Evan closed his eyes, letting the heat flood him, letting hope bloom where fear had ruled. And as the station trembled around them, he knew, deep in his heart, that he was not alone. Not while she chose to fight for him. The sound of engines echoed, faintly through the corridor long before the rescue team arrived. Red lights flickered, smoke curling into the air, and the station shuddered as if it were groaning under its own weight. Evan's head throbbed, every heartbeat sending pain through his fractured leg and ribs. He felt weak, exhausted, almost ready to give up, but A17 remained beside him, her glowing core pressing warmth into his body like a shield against the cold that tried to pull him away. Her eyes scanned the area constantly, tracking the structural failures, the smoke, and the rising danger. She had not wavered once. I hear them," Evan whispered, his voice trembling. Relief and fear battled within him. "The team. They're here." "They are approaching," A17 said calmly. Her voice, steady and precise, carried something deeper, now an unspoken reassurance. "Your vital signs are stable. Remain still. Evacuation will be successful if you continue to comply." Evan tried to smile, but his pain made it a grimace. I I don't know how I survived this long. His voice broke. Not without you. A 17's core pulsed brighter. Survival is not coincidental. My systems have compensated for the station's failing environment. I have prioritized your life over my own operational limits. He blinked. Over your own limits? Fear laced his words. You're burning out for me? Yes, she replied simply. Her glow intensified, as if acknowledging the truth. Prolonged thermal output exceeds my structural capacity. Continued operation may result in permanent system failure. Evan's throat tightened. Tears filled his eyes. You risked yourself. For me, and I didn't even know. He swallowed hard, the lump in his throat making it hard to speak. I can't. I don't. You are alive, she said softly, almost human in her tone now. That is what matters. My function is secondary. Footsteps grew louder, and lights from the rescue team pierced the smoke-filled corridor. They arrived, suits shining, scanning the area quickly, carrying stretchers and medical kits. Patient found. One shouted. Evan tried to speak, to explain, but the words caught in his throat. He pointed at a 17, whose core was still glowing but dimmer than before. She saved me. His voice rose in desperation. She kept me alive. The teen hesitated. Their eyes widened as they took in the alien medical unit. Wires hung from damaged panels. Sparks crackled. Her body was steaming faintly from the prolonged energy output. This unit, one medic muttered, it's compromised. She did this for me, Evan said, tears streaming freely. She risked herself to save a human. Do you understand? She chose me. The medics exchanged glances. One knelt beside Evan. Sir, we need to move you immediately. She might not survive much longer. Evan shook his head violently. No, you can't take me without her. His voice cracked. She saved my life. And now she's dying for me. A 17's core flickered faintly. Evan Holt, she said, her voice weakening slightly. Survival. Confirmed. Evan froze. The words hit him like a hammer. What, you did it? He looked at her in disbelief. You saved me. Even if it cost you. Yes, she whispered. Her systems were straining, energy levels critical. Your life is preserved. My operation may cease at any moment. Evan fell to his knees beside her. His hands trembled as he touched her arm. I don't deserve this. No one has ever fought like this for me. You are alive, she said. That is sufficient. That is purpose fulfilled. Smoke curled higher, alarms shrieked louder, and the heat from her core began to dim under the strain. The rescue team worked quickly, setting up Evan on a stretcher. He refused to leave her side. Please, let her come too. She saved me. One of the medics nodded, understanding finally what had happened. We'll stabilize her, he said, carefully moving toward a 17. We'll save her too. Evan's chest heaved. He sank to the floor beside her. Thank you, he whispered, voice choked with emotion. For everything. For saving me. For choosing me. A 17's core glowed faintly one last time, then pulsed weakly. Human. Evan Holt, survival. Priority maintained. Her eyes dimmed slightly, but the warmth lingered. Like a final promise, Evan held her hand, or what passed for a hand, and pressed his forehead to her shoulder. Tears streamed freely down his face. He felt alive because she had refused to let him go. And in that moment, he understood something he hadn't before. Courage and humanity were not limited to humans. Compassion could come in any form, and when it chose life over everything, It was as real as any heartbeat. And in the chaos of fire, smoke and trembling metal, one truth stood clear. Evan Holt had survived. And he owed it all to her. Evan sat in the quiet of the reconstruction bay, staring at the pieces of a 17 laid out on the metal table. Sparks of machinery and tools hummed around him, but he hardly noticed. His hands shook slightly, not from fear this time, but from the weight of gratitude and the realization of what had happened. She had saved him. She had risked herself completely, and now she was just fragments of metal and wires. Can they fix her? He asked quietly, almost to himself. One of the engineers looked up. We can rebuild the system, sir, but some of the core components are damaged beyond normal repair. We can restore her function, but not fully. Some features will be lost permanently. Evan's chest tightened. He shook his head. No, not full function. Not as a machine. She's more than that. She's more than parts. She deserves to come back the way she wants, not the way they tell her to. The engineers exchanged uncertain glances. Sir, she's a unit. She's a life, Evan interrupted firmly. She chose me. She risked herself. That's not just programming. That's humanity. And I will not let her come back any other way. He spent the next hours in quiet vigilance, overseeing every repair, every wire replaced, every module tested. He argued, he pleaded, he convinced them to do more than standard protocol. Slowly, A-17 began to hum again, tiny lights flickering across her body. Slowly, the warmth that had once kept him alive returned, but now it pulsed on her own terms, controlled and stable. When she finally opened her glowing eyes, she focused on him immediately. Evan Holt, she said softly, her voice steady but carrying the faintest trace of what seemed like recognition. I rebooted. Systems functional. Evan felt tears prickle his eyes again. You're back, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. He knelt beside her, hand hovering over hers. Not just a machine. Not just a unit. Back and alive. Because you wanted to be. A-17 tilted her head slightly, studying him. I remember choice, she said. My core prioritized survival of human. Evan Holt. You did more than that, he said quietly. You risked everything. For me. That's not just function. That's care. That's courage. That's humanity. She remained silent, processing. Slowly, she reached out her hand, or what served as one, and allowed him to take it. The warmth flowed gently, steady and reassuring, as if it were acknowledging him, acknowledging life. Evan smiled softly. You know, you've changed how I see things. I've spent years believing humans are the only ones who can truly care. But you've proven me wrong. Choice, courage, compassion. It doesn't matter what form it comes in. It just matters that it exists. The engineers watched quietly. Some took notes. Some whispered among themselves. And Evan realized something important. The story of A-17 was not just about saving one life. It was about proving that compassion, heroism, and selflessness could exist anywhere, in any form. Over the next days, Evan fought for her rights, arguing with the station authorities and corporate overseers. She is not just property, he said repeatedly. She saved a human life by choice. That makes her more than a machine. She is a citizen. She is a being capable of making decisions. Finally, after countless debates and forms, A-17 was officially granted autonomy. She could choose her own path, her own purpose, and no one could override her decisions without her consent. Evan smiled when he heard it. You're free now, he said softly, kneeling beside her once again. A-17's core glowed softly in response. I acknowledge freedom. I will continue to protect life where necessary, by choice. Evan felt a lump in his throat. By choice, he repeated. That's amazing. They left the reconstruction bay together. He walked slowly, his legs still weak, but the warmth of her presence beside him made every step easier. She matched his pace, steady, calm, yet alive in a way that transcended programming. Outside, the station sky glowed faintly with the light of distant stars. The chaos of the recent disaster seemed far away. Evan breathed deeply, feeling a strange sense of peace he hadn't known in years. You saved me once, he said softly. And now, I think I've helped save you too. In a way. A 17's eyes glowed gently. You have acknowledged my autonomy. That is survival in another form. Mutual survival. Evan smiled, tears catching the light. Mutual survival, he whispered. And in that moment, he realized the universe had just proven something incredible. Humanity, compassion, courage, they were not limited to humans alone. And somewhere deep inside, Evan felt hope bloom. Not just for himself, not just for his 17, but for the universe itself, where life, no matter what form it took, could rise above fear, cold, and chaos. The station was quiet now. The alarms had faded. The fires were extinguished. The cold that had once crept into Evan's bones was gone, replaced by the steady warmth of a 17 beside him. She walked with him slowly, her steps precise but matched to his own, as if she understood every weakness, every scar. Evan looked out through the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful, their light distant but constant. He realized he had been staring at them before the accident, thinking he was alone in the universe. But now he knew the truth. He was never truly alone. You know, he said softly, I never thought I'd see the stars like this again. Not after. His voice faltered. He didn't finish, but a 17 understood. You survived, she said quietly. Her glowing eyes reflected the starlight. And I was present to ensure survival. That is enough. Evan shook his head. It's not just enough. It's more than I could have ever hoped for. You proved something. Not just to me, but to everyone who watches, who listens.